If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they won't.
Let me get my afro right. Yeah.
A fresh, cool young Lou trying to cash his microphone check 212. Wanna believe my own hype, but it's too untrue. The world brought me to my knees. What if you brung you? Did you improve on the design? Did you do something new? Where your name in on the guest list? Who brung you? You, the more famous person, you come through, and the sexy lady next to you, you come too. And then the hitman standing outside of heaven, waiting for God to come and get me. I'm too uncouth, unschooled to the rules, and too gumshoe, too much of a newcomer, and too uncool.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens, Riptide Media Network. Rate us, review us. Thank you for joining me as always. If you're not, listening on the 102.9 The Game app as you go on and navigate your day, if you are watching on YouTube, if you are watching on X, shout out to Football Game Plan. Shout out to Bleacher Brothers for allowing me to, hang out on your platforms. I always appreciate it. Shout out to all the fans out there who've been following along. We had really great numbers, especially on X the last few days. So shout out to, the fans on X who've been following us along, or following along with me, excuse me. I really do appreciate it. Ever since we have gone to the 2-hour format, it has been one of those things where, not only am I continuing to find my footing in a much longer, much more elaborate platform, but also trying to navigate all of the other things that I have going on in life besides just, this show. And today is one of those days where it's evident, life happens. You have life going on. There's life is lifing, if you will. We had at my school today, we had an emergency half day. We had an emergency half day, and because there's inclement weather coming. And of course, what usually happens when you cancel something or you do something in preparation for something else big, when it comes to education, of course, right? Nothing happens. So we're out of school early on this half day, and we get to come home early, batting the hatchets, I guess. And 1 o'clock, nothing. 2 o'clock, nothing. 3 o'clock, nothing. Just about time for me to start getting ready to come on and hang out with you guys for 2 hours and thunder and lightning and all of that stuff. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, if we had actually just released at our normal time, which is 2:30, an hour, most bus routes are an hour and some change, all of the kids would have been dropped off before any of the inclement weather got here. As of right now, it's still not storming. You're just starting to hear thunder, roll in the background. You know that there's something coming, but overall, like, not bad. But I can't help anybody for preparing. I can't be mad at anybody for preparing for the worst, right? Some people would say that preparing for the worst is a bad thing, but I look at preparing for the worst as, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's a blessing. But if it does happen, you've put yourself in the best possible position to get through it with minimal casualty. So I can never be mad. Listen, there have been days where we've had football practice, and this really comes to light on football practice, maybe even some in in track, but really more in football practice. I've noticed it. there'd be a time where there would be really, really awful weather, and there was nowhere for my team to really go to be able to get any quality work done, right? So it's like, okay, do I have everybody come from everywhere that they're coming from to practice, only to then get like hit with a thunderstorm? Now we got to get the players out of the weather, but we don't have anywhere for them to go, so we end up underneath like some bleachers or all stuffed in a really small locker room. You know what? It says it's going to be bad. We're going to shut it down. And as soon as we shut it down, we get a little bit of rain, but nothing crazy. And then 15 minutes later, it's done. It's over with. Nothing else. Sun is shining. Birds are chirping. Right? You ever have that happen? If you're a former athlete and you play outside or you play sports outside, in the comments, just, let me know. Whether it's on X, and shout out to everybody on X. Make sure you're following me at Gene Clemens on X. You can leave it on the Bleacher Brothers X. You can leave it on Facebook, my Facebook, Bleacher Brothers. Go to the Football Game Plan Facebook. Leave it on the YouTube comments. Have you ever been playing as an athlete and or a coach? Have you ever been playing a sport where you had a practice and practice is getting canceled? And it looks like it's going to be really, really bad, only for nothing to happen. And then everyone to question you on why your practice was canceled. Because that's what happens. See, you know what never happens in education? As teachers, even as students, we never question why it was canceled. We're just thankful for the blessing, right? We're just thankful for the blessing. Hey, we don't have school today. It's a free day. You know who coined the phrase Hurricane Day or Hurricane Party? It wasn't you regulars. It wasn't you normies. It was teachers. Because a lot of the normies, when there's a hurricane or severe weather, you still got to work. But in education, we got to shut this thing down if for no other reason than for the safety and sanctity of the kids, right? And as an adult, I appreciate that. If my kid's going to a school, I would much rather my kid be home, unless it's a tornado, I guess. And then I'm going, do I want my kid at home if I live in a house? Or do I want my kid in a fortified school that is kind of built to withstand hurricanes? All that cinder blocks and foundational structure. It's built like a prison. Like what better place to be than those types of structures? But it's always interesting to me it's happened to me as an athlete. It's happened to me as a coach. It's happened to me as an athletics administrator. It's happened to me as a reporter, that I was about to go and cover somebody's practice or somebody's game, and the weather looked so bad that I didn't even bother to go. I was like, I'm not going out there just to get rained on. Like, who's doing that, right? And so as a result, I shut it down. I don't go. And then nothing ever happens. Right? Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever seems to be the way that you want it to be. Right? Preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. The thing that I was noticing in the headlines and the stories of the past 24 hours since I was with you last. Boise State's head coach Spencer Danielson, he announced that incoming freshmen are banned from taking NIL money their first season. One of the quotes, and I don't have the rest of the quote, so I'm not going to say I fully understand what he's getting at. But the quote that is getting all the attention is, if you're looking for the easy way and you're looking for a handout, don't come to Boise State. If you're looking for the easy way and you're looking for a handout, don't come to Boise State. That is what this head coach said about NILs for incoming freshmen. Now, I'm gonna look at this two ways. First, I'm going to try to understand, because I think a lot of times what we do is we don't even try to understand what somebody is saying. We just automatically tell them how stupid they are, tell them how bad their idea is, how bad their take is. So I wanted to try to understand, right? First off, when I go to it, it says it was quickly clarified that Danielson wasn't putting a strict embargo in place on freshman earnings via NIL deals, but that the program would not be promising or offering NIL deals to recruits for first-year players. Now, herein lies more the real thing. What he's saying is, we're not going to spend any money that we get for NIL as the collective, from the collectives, we're not going to spend it on freshmen. I don't necessarily disagree. What he's not saying is he's not saying that freshmen can't earn NIL deals on their own. He's not saying that freshmen can't garner NIL deals on their own. He's saying that there's not going to be any team-wide NIL deal paid to freshmen. Okay. But even within that, there's problems. Now, why would he say that? Because he doesn't want freshmen to come in, be comfortable with just being on the team and getting money or getting benefits from NILs and never working any harder to get to the next level, right? Here's the problem. This is where I have to stop with the defense. First off, it's a flawed thought process. Scholarships, right? There are some players who just wanted to earn a scholarship. Once they were at that school on a scholarship, they were doing just enough to keep their scholarship. I know them. I played with them. There were some that I was friendly with. There were some that I just knew. Like I knew through passing. I had an acquaintance that had an acquaintance. Guys who were just okay as long as they kept their scholarship. What's different about that than NIL money? If you think that any player who has a desire to go to the NFL is thinking about NIL money as the end, then you are sorely mistaken. What NIL money has become is a way for these high-level football players to maximize their stardom early because their overall career is not as long. They get an opportunity to maximize their star early because their overall career is not as long. It's not as fruitful. It's not like basketball. It's not like baseball. Right? So the NIL money that they earn in football may very well be the first 3 to 4 years of what ends up being a 5, 6, 7 year career. And now they have to go and figure out what to do with the rest of life. Right? That's a practical look at it. That's a grown man looking at it, right? Here's what the 18-year-old sees. Oh, they're trying to limit my bag. Not going there. Spencer Danielson, it doesn't matter how you come back from this. You will not be getting any elite level athletes to come to Boise State. It was already hard enough getting elite level athletes to go to Boise State. The NIL is actually a way that you could get elite level athletes to go to Boise State, and you just threw that out the window. Not as freshmen, which is what you need, Boise State. You need to have your NIL money be able to grab the consistent 3-star, right? The consistent 3-star prospect that has a chance to stay with you 4 to 5 years, develop, so that you can put together a team that has a chance to compete with those top upper echelon conferences like the SEC, like the Big Ten, full stop. Right? Because on every 4 to 5 years, a Boise State could compete in a 1-game, maybe 2-game walk-off. What does that look like? That looks like a college football playoff, right? That looks like the opportunity that he would have. But now you're not getting those guys. And even with the guys who are looking to bounce back and or transfer from another place, are they really going to be looking at you knowing that you're not getting the best of the best talent? Now you will get guys who are only looking for money. Those transfers that won't come in as freshmen, that are going to be looking for whatever money you're going to give them. They're going to be looking to squeeze whatever little dollars they can out of you for as minimal or as little work as they possibly can bring out. You've set yourself up for the okie doke just by talking. I say it all the time. I have gotten myself in trouble because I haven't shut up. I've also taught myself into some great things because I haven't shut up. But when you have the opportunity to recruit, you can't let any door seem closed, even if that door is closed. You could have quietly had this thought process and had this thing and never said anything. You wouldn't have been lying. You would have just been not telling everything. That happens at every place. The people that tell players, hey man, you can come here and start right now. The part they're leaving out is, you can come here and start right now if you beat out these 5 stars that are starters in front of you. If you beat out this transfer that I'm bringing in to compete with you. If you beat out these other freshmen that are coming in to play your same position. If you beat out this guy on the team that I'm training to flip to that position because we need more depth there. At every turn in college athletics, but especially in football, there are the things that are said and the things that are unsaid that you just have to read. And people could have just read that for themselves. You didn't have to tell them that, Spencer Danielson. But now you have to reap. Now you have to sow or to reap, what you sow. It's bad enough that people don't rock with Idaho like that. Because here's the you might be reading too deep into it thing. What if this is just Boise State's way of saying we don't want a certain type of player. We don't want that type of player. You know what I'm asking? What type of player is that? Well, the type of player who would want money as a freshman. What type of players are looking for money as a freshman? Players who don't have any money. What type of players are looking to get bags to help with their situation as freshmen? Players who come from areas where they don't have any money. Who is that normally? You guessed it, players that look just like me. Players who look just like me. Players that come from socioeconomic backgrounds like I came from. Those are the ones that are going to be looking for the quote-unquote handout How do you regulate this? What if I'm a freshman who comes in and I'm a starter and I'm balling out? This is different than saying, hey, we don't allow freshmen on social media. Right? That's a different thing. Hey, we don't allow freshmen on social media. You know what those freshmen are going to do? They're going to make burner accounts. It's cool. But they're going to respect it. But now they can't respect it. Why? Because if you don't let them on social media, you are messing up a revenue stream for them. You're messing up a way that they could put some dollars in their pocket. One of the things that I think is interesting is why I don't see every well-to-do, well-known, prominent college football, basketball, track with their own YouTube channel. Because getting to 1,000 subs, all that takes is going into the quad and asking people to subscribe to your channel. Then do things that put them on video and make money. How much money? Who knows? I have a really modest YouTube channel that does not do heavy numbers like that. But anytime I have a video that hits, you know what I make? I make a nice little chunk of change. So imagine if you had, I've talked about it. You were with me when I was talking to Clep Napier. If YouTube and Instagram and Facebook existed when I was coming through, and it was at the level it was at right now, you could keep your NIL money, dude. I don't need your money. I would be making dollars because I know how to hustle. And if you don't know how to hustle, that's cool. But it doesn't change the fact that if you knew how to hustle, you'd be able to hustle better. So now saying, hey, we're not letting freshmen because we don't want people who are looking for the easy way or people who are looking for a handout. And this isn't me talking. These are direct quotes from the head coach. If you told me, hey, you're not getting any NIL money because I don't want you looking for the easy way or I don't want you looking for a handout, my question back to Coach Danielson would have been this. Hey, Coach, if I'm in the too deep, how is it a handout? If I'm in the too deep, then why is that considered a handout? If I'm in the too deep, that means you expect me to be able to play. And if I'm playing, I'm earning that money because now you haven't made the NIL what it's supposed to be, which is name, image, and likeness. Now you've made it payment for playing. So if I'm playing, guess what I'm going to need? I'm going to need that NIL money, my guy. Run it. And if you're not willing to run it, if you're not willing to have that in place for me, or if I feel that you are holding me back strictly because you don't want to pay me NIL money, I'm gone. If you just didn't say anything and I went there and I said, hey, I see other people get NIL money. What's going on? And you said, yeah, Gene, we don't normally give NIL money to freshmen, but you are more than welcome to earn NIL money through whatever means you're able to do so. Okay. That would be my response. Okay. But if you're going to defiantly come out and go, we don't give NIL money to, we don't, nah. Word? That's what we doing? That's how we're getting down. We don't give NIL money because we are. Why? What does it help? Who does it benefit? Unless you have the agenda that you don't want a certain type of people inside or involved with what you're doing. And if you don't want that certain type of people involved with what you're doing, I don't know. I don't know if we can, you know what I'm saying? I'd love to know how people in Boise, Idaho feel about this. I'd love to know how the Boise State faithful feel about this. I would love to know how the Black Boise State alumni feel about this. Are they hand in hand kumbaya with this type of ridiculousness? Do they understand the mission? Do they follow the voice? Or are they as perplexed as I am? Are they sitting back going, I don't know what the hell this dude got going on. I don't know what his thought process is. I can't believe he said that. Even if he meant it, it doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I never will. Cutting off your nose to spite your face. Stay tuned. When we come back, I'll be talking about a little wager between friends as we get ready to start seeing more and more teams open up their rookie minicamp. This is Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Networks.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woo-hoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Spicy. Coach Gene Clemens, Riptide Media Network in the 102.9, the Game app. Go ahead and download that on the Play Store or wherever you get your Apple stuff from. I really should go and look up what it's called. on the iTunes store or whatever, Apple. I should look it up, but I find it kind of fun to just not know. Sometimes you just have to admit like willful ignorance, right? Sometimes you just admit willful ignorance and you keep it moving. Breaking news about 4 minutes ago on ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Phoenix Suns have dismissed coach Frank Vogel. They fire Vogel after one season with the Suns, 49-win regular season, and the league's third highest payroll and tax. They were swept in the opening round of the NBA playoffs by the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are right now making pretty light work of the Denver Nuggets. And my question goes, when are we actually, I shouldn't say my question goes. I've been talking about this. This isn't the first time I talked about it. How is this the coach's fault? How is this Frank Vogel's fault? Is it Frank Vogel's fault that they traded away all these assets to get Kevin Garnett? Then they traded away all of the assets to get Bradley Beal? Is it Frank Vogel's fault that they fired a coach who was revered in Phoenix, who the players loved? Is it Frank Vogel's fault that Minnesota exists? Is it Frank Vogel's fault that Denver exists? Is it Frank Vogel's fault that Oklahoma City has done more with their assets and flipping them and getting in pieces that fit? Is it Frank Vogel's fault? He doesn't make any personnel decisions. You cannot win a championship with 3 players. When the Miami Heat put their big 3 together, there were pieces around. When Boston put their big 3 together, there were pieces around. Miami was able to do it because all 3 players came in as free agents. Boston was able to do it because they were in a situation where they had a lot of young contracts, so they had a bunch of money. They didn't have to give up much to get, and they got those guys young enough where they were still able to put a run together. Now, here's the thing. These players don't want to wait anymore. Because I could argue that if Phoenix came back as constituted, they'd have a better season next year. You learn each other. Maybe Bradley Beal gets healthier, more of a understanding of his role within this offense. You could be better. But if you keep on blowing it up and rebuilding, what teams are winning the championship like that? Look around, you dummies. Nobody's winning the championship this way. Nobody is out here winning a championship. No one's out here winning a championship by just piecing together a whole bunch of stuff, holding it together with bubble gum and chicken wire, putting some retread coaching with a name in front of it and saying, voila, championship team. That's not happening. When Golden State won it and went on their dynastic run, it was with one new player inserted. One new dominant player inserted into an environment that had already germinated, had already bonded together. When they lost that one piece, and the other piece was hurt for the season, they struggled. But they started to restock the coffers. They brought in another piece. That was Wiggins. They won another championship. But it was the same culture. It was the same core unit. Now, where Golden State screwed up at is that they didn't have to give up much to get the big piece, which means that they had all of their draft capital, and they were taking people who just didn't have a really awesome upside to them. They were just taking dudes. Their ability to identify talent clearly was compromised and hasn't been good since Mark Jackson was there. Don't give me, oh, well, they hit with Jordan Poole. Did they really? They hit with a guy whose ceiling is a bad starter and a really good role player, really good bench player. No, not a star. That's a ceiling. Not a star. Probably a bad long-term starter. A really, really good role player off the bench. Kuminga. Oh my gosh, Kuminga's a beast. How beastly can he be? How beastly can he be? This isn't a diss versus them. It's just when you consider the other things that might have been out there for them to be able to take a shot on, to take a risk on in those years where they were not very good. Meh. When Kawhi Leonard won it with Toronto, there was a core in Toronto. They took one player out, they put one player in, and they won a championship. They caught lightning in the bottle. When Milwaukee won it, there was a core that had been in place. They sprinkled a little something on top of it. Not even another star. They won a championship. The only championship I can think of where a team won it that didn't have like a core that was together was the Lakers. That bubble Lakers team, there was no like really solid, really strong, really galvanized core, really well-grown core. Nope, they just happened to have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who shot better than he's ever shot in his entire life from outside. And that's why they won the championship. But other than that, who has it been? The Nuggets, when the Nuggets won it, right? Last year, a core that's been together, sprinkle in some stuff, not even stars, just sprinkle in some extras. They win it. So when I look at all of these teams out here just trying to throw some stuff together, my Lakers included, I go, that has not proven to be the way to win a championship. Even the Cavaliers, the LeBron James Cavaliers that went to the finals a bunch, right? When you think about what they did it because they had LeBron James, and LeBron James is worth, especially prime LeBron James, was worth a conference final berth. He could just get you there by himself. He proved that in Cleveland the first time. So when you add a Kyrie in and you add in a Kevin Love, doesn't take much else. But what else did they add, if you remember? Guys like Richard Jefferson, right? Like role players that understood, veteran guys who understood, not mercenaries, not guys who were coming in looking for another ultimate payday or looking to increase their stars. Guys, they were bringing in guys who understood the assignment. I'm here to protect these three. Not I'm here to make it a big four. And in places where there's not a big three, guess what? They're not trying to have a big three. In Boston, you want to know the success of Boston? It's a core. It's a core. And then it becomes, okay, can these other additions that we're making to the core, can those additions take us over the top? Can the Porzingis and the Holiday, can those types of additions take us over the top? But it's still the core. It's still the core. And until these teams figure out that you actually got to do some growing, you got to put some fertilizer and some water on those roots. You got to make sure they're planted deep. And then you got to let them germinate. You got to let them grow. You got to nurture them. That's why OKC is having success. They essentially just went back to the original formula. You remember the formula where they got KD and they got Russ. They got Russ. Then they got KD. Oh, no, they got KD. Then they got Russ. Then they got James Harden. Then they got Serge Ibaka. They had all of this talent on one team, and they just grew. They had an opportunity to grow together. And as they had the opportunity to grow together, they got better and better, and they became a power. But they messed up the cha-cha because they got selfish, starting with James Harden. He got selfish. I still contend that if James Harden had been a little bit more patient, 2 more years of patience, they probably win a championship. Then what you do from there is on you. Then you run it. Then you run the numbers up. But now, James Harden will most likely never win a championship. Why? Selfishness. And every single place he's ever been, he's been selfish. That's why you can't tell me nothing about putting James Harden on the team. No, absolutely not. Oh, LeBron James is selfish. Show me how. Show me how he's selfish. Even if he was selfish as a person, like to his core, even if he was selfish, he ain't selfish on the basketball court. LeBron James could have had seasons where he dropped 40 points a game. Easy. He was burling through the hole and just yamming on people. Easy buckets. Before he was shooting a bunch of threes. Easy. Could have easily averaged 40. That's not his game. His game is an unselfish game. James Harden's game? Completely selfish. And he's never averaged 40. Don't think that it's not lost on me. He has a 100% ball dominant but selfish type of game, and he's never, not ever, averaged 40. And so I'm looking at the Lakers fire their coach. Okay, cool, but when are you going to build something sustainable? The Phoenix Suns fire their coach. Okay, all right. When are you going to build something sustainable? The Knicks are winning. Are the Knicks winning because of a bunch of mercenaries? Or did they have a core, a group that they liked, right? With a coach and a philosophy that they liked, and then they just added the star into it. And they sprinkled some stuff on it. Do they have enough to be a championship team this year? I think injuries are going to take them down. I think injuries will eventually be their undoing. But now, do they have a core that's able to grow? Long as they don't like outthink the room, as long as those Villanova boys don't all start looking for the biggest bag in the history of bags. And again, I can't be mad at them if they do, but you're not winning. You got to recognize a good thing when you see it. Opt up for the lesser money and understand what happens if you win a championship in New York, how much that's worth to you. See, when you ask some players, would they take would they rather have a championship or the money? They only ever think about the immediate. Like if somebody says, "Hey, would you rather have 50 million in a championship or 100 million in no championships?" I never even got to the championship. And a lot of players, guys with championships, guys will go, "Man, give me my 100 mil." While if you think about the way in which you could pimp a championship, that championship might be worth 50 million to you. If I'm a starter on a team and I get a chance to win a championship, what's that worth to me in the community? What doors will that open for me with other businesses that I could possibly get in bed with? What doors will that open for me post-career that I could turn my stardom and what I was able to bring to this city, to this state, to this community? How can I turn that into bread? That becomes a question. That becomes a question. And so it is through building, right? Through time that you see the fruits of the labor, that you see the payoff. People talk about Coach Prime in the transfer portal, right? And they would have you believe that Coach Prime every year is bringing in a brand new team. But that's not the case. Some players go, some players come. But there's a core that remains. And as he gets more and more of the people that he wants in this program, guess what they're going to do? They're going to stay. And that begins to the process of growing. He has already come out and said he feels like he's got 10 years in him. I believe Coach Prime's probably in his 50s, right? Significantly older than me. In his 50s. Maybe pushing 60. But he's in great shape. Outside of the toes. He's in great shape. Takes care of himself. He don't drink. He don't smoke. He's wealthy enough that he could eat as clean as he needs to eat, as healthy as he needs to eat. He has the opportunity to build something, to grow. Now, the question becomes, is that 10 years in Colorado? Here's why I tell you it would be for me. Because if I can get Colorado to be consistently competitive, I will have done something that has not been done in Colorado in ages. A very long time. And if I can do that, then my equity in Colorado is so much higher than anywhere else I might be going on some mercenary coach type thing. Why do you guys think that Stoops has not left Kentucky? Because he's figured out, like, the grass ain't always greener, my guy. He's figured out that there are consequences, there are repercussions that come with being the hired gun coach. There's a clock that comes with being a hired gun coach. But when you get a team that has not seen success in a long time to a place of success, if you can just keep them at a level where they are competitive consistently, then you have opened up your opportunity to be a legend there. And that's invaluable. The amount of money does not calculate to the value you would have in that city. I can only imagine what life was like for Adolph Ruff in Lexington, Kentucky. I can only imagine what life was like for Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. What it's going to be like for the rest of his life. Because of what he did, because of what he means. I can only imagine what life was like for Bobby Bowden in Tallahassee. For what he did, for everything that he meant. Steve Spurrier in Gainesville. This does not come with a 1 to 2 year run. You cannot build championship caliber programs in a year. You can catch lightning in a bottle in a year, but is it sustainable? The Lakers won the championship in the bubble, then immediately got rid of all of the pieces that helped them win the championship outside of the two. Make it make sense. You won the bubble. People argue it was the hardest championship to win because of everything that was going on. And instead of doubling down with the units that you had in place, you said, nah. Bye-bye Rondo. Bye-bye Dwight Howard. Bye-bye JaVale McGee. Bye-bye Caldwell Pope. I think of Caldwell Pope, bye-bye. I could be off by a year. Bye-bye Danny Green. And then you wonder why you don't have veteran presence or players who understand how to get it done in the playoffs, who understand their role, who are comfortable in their role. You wonder why you don't have that. It's because they've never been in those situations before. And even the team that you had last year that went to the Western Conference Finals looks different this year. You tried to better deal that team. And what did it get you? Done in the first round. You have to build. You have to grow. You have to let things mature. I know that KD is older. I know that LeBron James is older. But damn it, if you don't put roots down and let things mature and grow, it won't matter if they're there or not. You're not winning. So either they need to come into a culture that's already been established and it's already grown and it's just a little bit of water away from getting it done, a little more fertilizer away from getting it done, or they need to keep their butts where they are, figure out how to make it work so that the team can build around them. Now, in LeBron James' case, and maybe even in KD's case, it might be stick them up, right? If I'm LeBron James, I have a $50 million option, but I'm not picking up that option. I need 2 more years. I need 2 more years at the max. So my 50 million, my 1 year 50 million needs to now become 3 years, 175 million. I need it. Stick them up. If I'm LeBron James, I don't need this money for my life. I need this money because I'm trying to buy a team. So I need you to pay me stupid, ridiculous money that I can then go invest and watch it flip. Right? Because once you start talking about that type of money, just a 1x flip of your money is life-changing. 50 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 400. If you could do that, right? Like I have $1,000. I can take $1,000 and flip that in a year. I can have $1,000, have $2,000 in a year with smart investing, right? So if I can do that with 1,000, you don't think these damn billionaires are out here doing it with 50 million? Of course they are. Of course they are. They're not even using their own money. That's the game LeBron's playing. So if you're the Lakers, you got to try to convince him to be in it with you. But you can't keep on going out here trying to like reprogram. You can't go out here trying to you can't go out here trying to do it all in a year. Drop it all in one bucket. It never works. It doesn't work for me. It ain't gonna work for you. It hasn't worked for anybody. It's never gonna work for anybody. That's just the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, I'm actually going to get to the thing I was supposed to get into this block, but I didn't because I got distracted by the news of Frank Vogel being fired. So stay tuned. We'll come back and I'll pay off that little contract I was talking about. This is Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Network.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, in yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens, Riptide Media Networks and the 102.9 The Game app. Thank you for joining me. I was talking about paying this off, and I want to make sure I get to it before I either forget or something else breaks here right now. Jaden Daniels, as NFL teams start to gear up for their rookie mini camps. Some have already had them or having them, and then some are getting ready to start them. The Giants will open up their 2 days of on-field activities tomorrow. There was a story that said that Jaden Daniels, the quarterback of the Washington Commanders, and Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver for the New York Giants, had a bet in place of who will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I believe that the wager was a $10,000 bet. And I'm just here to tell you that this is the type of stuff that I love. Because the $10,000 isn't going to make or break either one of them, right? It's not enough money for one to be upset about losing, right? The person that is upset about losing, the person that signs a first-round rookie contract that's upset about losing the $10,000 in a bet would be upset about losing the bet if 5 push-ups were on the line. This isn't going to be something brand new. It could be argued that they probably made enough money at LSU that the 10 stacks wasn't really a thing at LSU. But I like it, and I'm going to tell you why I like it. I like it because I like my players with confidence. I like my players with the level of grind, of hustle, of gravitas, of slight arrogance, of a little bit of cockiness. I like them that way because this game is hard. I like them that way because this game is hard. This game is difficult. And if you are going to play it, you have to be able to exude a level of confidence that you're not always going to be able to back up, because the NFL is hard. Because there are factors beyond your control that allow you to be good. But I was thinking about that, and I was like, who would I put money on if I was putting money on one of the two to win Offensive Rookie of the Year? Which one would I put it on? Do I even think that those two are the favorites? My answer there is no. And if I had to put money on one of the two, it wouldn't be on Malik Neighbors. It would be on Jaden Daniels, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the offense that Jaden Daniels is going into is a quarterback-friendly offense with an offensive coordinator who probably wants to get back to a head coaching job somewhere, somehow, whether that be in college or in the NFL, who will be pulling out all of the tricks in order to make him look good. He brings value not only as a passer, but he brings value as a runner, which means that on days where he does not pass the ball particularly well, he could still wow people with some running plays. He could still make the stat book look good, even if he throws for 165, 170 yards. because he might have 125 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. He can get enough wow plays, enough splash plays, enough highlight reel plays that he can sway the thought process of the voting public just by what he's able to do. Now, he has his own limitations. Number one is, how good is his offensive line? Number two, how good is his receiving core? For Malik Nabers, everything that he does is predicated on other people. This is why it's so hard for receivers to win the overall awards. Right? This is why it's so difficult for receivers to win awards that are not receiver specific. Because at the end of the day, everything you do is predicated on other people. You know how many times I've seen receivers be wide open and quarterbacks not throwing them the ball? That's going to happen to Malik Nabers. You know how many times I've seen where receivers are open, but they're not the number one option, so the quarterback has already thrown the ball to somebody else? And whether it's a catch or not, the point is you were not the number one option. That's going to happen to Malik Nabers. You know how many times I've seen where receivers were wide open and the quarterback had to throw the ball hot because of a blitz from the defense? Doesn't matter if it's complete or incomplete. The point is they didn't have enough time to throw it to you. Have you ever seen where wide receivers were wide open and the quarterback got flushed from the pocket immediately, had to run it, and now the guy that's wide open down the field or wide open across the middle or wide open in the flat, he doesn't get the ball? These are not isolated incidents. This is what happens to a receiver every single game. The coach has to call a play that puts you in a position to be successful. The defense has to give you a look that makes it possible for the quarterback to consider you pre-snap. Post-snap, they have to give you something that you can work with that makes the quarterback believe you can win. And lastly, the quarterback has to not only have trust and throw the ball, but actually throw the ball in a vicinity that allows you to make the play on the ball. You got to hope that a defender didn't come out of nowhere. And then you have to catch the ball. There's a lot that goes into the success of being a receiver. And I'm not just saying this as somebody who's never did it. I'm telling you from practical experience. The things that go into the success of a receiver has so much to do with the other people around that in many cases, if you are not a receiver that the quarterback says, I'm going to throw the ball to him no matter what, right? If they haven't written it down on that little piece of paper like what's his name from The Bodyguard, like he does in Draft Day. I forget his name right now, but it'll come back to me. If you don't have a quarterback that's written down your name on that piece of paper that's stuffed into their pants that says Gene Clemens no matter what, right? If it doesn't say Gene Clemens no matter what, then I have to rely on every single thing else to happen. There have been times where a play was supposed to come to me. There were times where the play was designed for the ball to come to me. And for some reason, I don't know why, the quarterback decided to go somewhere else. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was everything I needed to be. And I still didn't get the ball. that is the life of a wide receiver playing a game of football. It is unlike any other position in football because everything that we do is a result of what other people do. Sometimes everything can be perfect. The play can be executed to perfection, and the wind is just a little, just a gust. Sometimes everything can be perfect. The ball is placed where it needs to be. The quarterback threw it in time and rhythm, and there's a Deion Sanders out there. There's a Travis Hunter out there. There's an Ed Reed out there that just know how to just time it perfectly. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say. It just is what it is. Sometimes there's a situation where you've got the ball in your hands, you catch it, and then a white light flashes across your face. And you wake up on the ground with no football in your hand. Or sometimes you have the ball in your hand and a sharp pain hits you in the back. And you no longer have the ball in your hand. Sometimes you catch the ball and there is a hot burning pain on the back of your leg or the side of your leg or the front of your leg, and you no longer have the ball anymore. There are so many different factors that go into catching the ball. I can't put Malik Neighbors. I can't put my money on him. There's more ways for him to lose than there are for Jayden Daniels. The only way Jayden Daniels loses is if he doesn't earn a starting spot. Malik Neighbors is going to get gifted this spot. I would imagine Jayden Daniels is as well. But Malik Neighbors is going to get time. Even if he struggles in training camp, he might not start out as a 1, but he'll still be in on packages. They're still going to continue to give him opportunities. You know why? Because giving him opportunities isn't going to cost them the game. But not giving him opportunities is going to kill his confidence. Can't do that. If Jayden Daniels has to sit for a year, people go, that's smart. Let him sit for a year. Let him learn the game. Come back as a sophomore, right? Come back as a sophomore. He never got a chance to do that in college. He had to start immediately. He needs to sit down and watch the game. All of the crazy stuff that they say. But I like this. I like teammates who are going to be in the same division, right? So they're going to play each other 2 times a year. So each time they play each other, they're going to be like, hey, I'm up on this bet. Right now, it's 60-40 me. Like, what's not to love about that? That's the fun part about the sports. Like, the money doesn't matter. The money really is just something for us to talk about. Because in our life, a lot of us don't have the opportunity to just gamble with an innocuous 10K. Right? Like, most of us don't have the type of resources that allow us to just go, I'm going to spend $10,000 on a bet. Like, on one bet. So for them to have a 10K, bet on who wins Rookie of the Year, man, that's fly. That is fly. I gotta appreciate it. Right? I gotta appreciate it. Because these are the things that are fun. These are the things that are fun about sports. And we can't lose that we can't lose sight of the fact that the game is supposed to be fun. We can't lose sight of the fact that the game is supposed to be fun. It should always be fun. I was able to go and find the audio of All Facts No Breaks, the All Facts No Breaks podcast. That's Keyshawn Johnson's podcast. Love the fact that Keyshawn has his own podcast, because I love that. I love that Keyshawn's not afraid to be him, right? Let's hear what Jaden Daniels had to say on the Keyshawn Johnson All Facts No Breaks podcast.
Or fiction that you and him have a Rookie of the Year bet going on.
Man, he wasn't supposed to tell nobody. It's supposed to be. We got a little something going on.
What's the bet though? Is it money or is it was?
Yeah, it's money.
How much?
10. Who won Rookie of the Year?
That's nothing for y'all now. You guys.
I mean, he put it out there, so it's like
that ain't really.
I can't say he capped. So,
Dad, what? Who does he remind you of in the league? Malik Neighbors.
In the league right now,
who does he remind me of?
Both of you.
Man, I think he's similar to Jamar. Just how explosive they are.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I am about receivers, man. You play on the outside, you got to be an animal full time. You know, he's more of an inside dude that got speed to me. That his mismatches and linebackers and safeties and third corners is going to benefit him. Because once you go outside on them numbers, you got to be an animal. That's where, you know, we like to say as a receiver, that's where grown men are. We ain't going inside to hide. But Jamar can play inside and outside.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Malik, even though I know he played outside at times at LSU, if he can do that
at the next
level.
Yeah.
Because just because you fast, it doesn't mean anything. Because everybody fast in the league.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna be 5 yards in front of everybody all the time. It just doesn't happen. The windows are so tight. The reason that Tyreek Hill separates himself away from everybody because motherfuckers are scared before they even snap the ball. And that I'm saying, no cap, facts, all that stuff y'all talk about.
Bro, he's too fast.
Yeah, they scared. He got them beat before the snap of the ball even happens.
Yeah.
You know, and so if Malik Neighbors could do some of that sort of stuff, then he's gonna be at a different level.
Yeah.
You know, he reminds me a little bit of a Jamar Chase. I just need to see him outside.
Okay. Receiver.
Is it facts or?
So I don't disagree with, you know, with what Keyshawn Johnson said at all. I've actually alluded to it that I think that he is a guy who is versatile. Do I think he can play on the outside? Absolutely. Do I think he is a quintessential X? No. Do I think that you have to be a quintessential X to be a wide receiver one? No. I've actually never thought that. Funny fact, when I played football, because I kind of push back at what Keyshawn says with the playing inside, right? I was an X, I was an outside receiver. But there would be times where we would go to a 3 wide receiver set and I would move to the slot. And the reason that I moved to the slot was because they used me very similar to the way they used the tight end. I would eventually transition to play tight end at another school. But like that was the thought process is bigger body inside with the speed to pull away, but a mismatch everywhere, right? You saw this same thing with Keyshawn Johnson. You saw the same thing with him in Dallas. Keyshawn Johnson played some in the slot. Keyshawn Johnson was a guy who moved into the slot, was able to work in the slot some because they wanted to use his physicality inside. I've seen T.O. do it, right? I've seen T.O. do it. So I've noticed how that's been done. I think the comp to, I won't call it a lazy comp to comp him. I just don't think they're the same type of guy. I feel like so let me put my evaluation hat on, right? I feel like Ja'Marr Chase is much closer to what's a good way? I think Ja'Marr Chase has a lot more running back in him, right? Like if we put what Ja'Marr Chase and Malik Neighbors is, right, and we put running back on one side and wide receiver, and we slid the sliding scale, I would actually put Ja'Marr Chase, his sliding scale, more towards running back. I would put Malik Neighbors' scale more towards wide receiver. That's how I look at it. I think when you look at what both of them do, Ja'Marr Chase operates and acts more like a running back who just like he would be if Marshall Faulk played wide receiver full time. He would be Ja'Marr Chase like. Right? Like that type of thing where Ja'Marr Chase is Golden Tate with speed and a little bit more thickness, right? He's a Golden Tate, a converted running back. Ja'Marr Chase is Golden Tate on steroids. Golden Tate on steroids. And if you think that's a diss, go watch Golden Tate at his prime. Dude was a monster. I'm not saying that he was Ja'Marr Chase. I'm saying that Ja'Marr Chase is him if he took all the roids in the world and just maxed out whatever he could possibly get out of his body. Like, to me, that's where I see Ja'Marr Chase. Malik Neighbors is a lot more like a receiver that's just got a little more beef on him, right? Like a beefed up receiver. But I like it. I like the bet because it's confidence. I like the fact that Neighbors went public with it and that Daniels didn't even back down from it. He just said, yeah, it was supposed to be, it was supposed to be private. It was supposed to be us, but I ain't going to say he capped. So I'm going to stand in it. That's what we talking about. That's what we're talking about. That's the type of stuff that I like to see from my players. Like, we don't need you to act like you're saints. No one's ever asked you to be saints. No one's ever asked you to be saints. Right? Like, that's the part that I don't think we that's the part that I don't think we recognize enough. Nobody's ever asked these dudes to be saints. We've only ever asked them to be honest. Right? That's it. No one's asking you to be a saint. We're just asking you to be honest. We're just asking you to give an honest account of what it is you're supposed to do out here. Nothing wrong with that. So I really don't even like know why a lot of people would have any issue with stuff like this. Like, this isn't the thing that people should have an issue with. You know what people should have an issue with, though? A lot of these players are coming out and they are speaking their truth about many of these coaches that people hold in high esteem. Now, I don't know Chip Kelly, but the one thing that I do know about Chip Kelly and what he's made perfectly clear is that he ain't really here for all of the, all of the glad handing, all of the getting to know you. He just wants to coach ball. That's it. He just wants to coach ball. He doesn't want any other stuff. That's why he decided to hang it up in UCLA, because he just wanted to be responsible for coaching football. Well, you got your wish. But a lot of these players, they remember, and they don't have great things to say. And I always say, you can judge the message on the messenger, or you can judge the message on the totality of what's being said. So I want to play for you this clip of the 2510 podcast with Deshaun Jackson and Shady McCoy. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a Shady McCoy fan. I think he's, well, not a fan. We'll just say that. But some really interesting things said by both of these gentlemen, but especially by Deshaun Jackson.
I never was able to really express how I feel on this. And to me, I just didn't really understand the picture they painted on me. And it was like, really sitting back now, it was like, bro, you really released me off of allegations, bro. And like, that was a coward move, bro. Like, that was really like, you were scared of a powerful young black man that you couldn't really relate to. And it was all off of a story that was dropped. Yeah. Wow. Like, they really finna release me on this, bro. Man, like, I really couldn't even look my own mother in her face during this time. I think that affected me my whole career, bro. It's always affected me. And still to this day, I'm still trying to, like, you know, put my best foot forward and show these guys, like, you know, I'm not a hoodlum, or like, you know, yeah, I grew up and yeah, I hang with certain individuals, but does that make me a bad person? Right. You literally, like, tarnished a young kid that was innocent, that didn't do nothing but do right for people. And like I said, I speak on me having a big heart. Like, my heart is bigger than every, like, you can ask, like, if you need, I'm gonna help you if I can help you. Like, especially if you my boy, I'm gonna take you on a plane. I'm gonna take you places you never been. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, sometimes, like, I'm almost like crucified for that and having that big heart.
First off, I just want to shout out all of the players that are continuing to get into the space to tell their own stories. I think a lot of people believe that guys like me in the media who didn't, you know, get to that highest level are somehow jealous of or resentful of the fact that these people are getting into the space, but couldn't be further from the truth, right? Like, at the end of the day, I love watching what these dudes are doing out here. I love the fact that they are getting it in the mud, you know. I hope that a lot of them will continue to work in the space and not just be here and be gone because they figure out, oh, this is a lot of work and I didn't really want to work hard for it. The reason why Pat McAfee is successful is because Pat McAfee put the hours in. He put the work in. So I'm hoping that all of these podcasts, the basketball players, the football players, the track athletes that have come in with podcasts, I just hope that they continue to do it, that they cultivate a fan base, because don't let people tell you that there's not enough room for everybody to do something. That's the biggest crock that I ever hear. There are hundreds of millions of people in this country. So if you have 1 million followers, you don't even have 0.1% of the population. I'm sorry, you don't even have 1% of the population. You don't even have 0.5% of the population. So why can't everybody eat out here? Not everything is going to be for everybody. But there's enough bodies that it could be for you. So shout out to them and shout out to everybody, all of these athletes that's getting into the space. Now, I want to get into what he said and what he was talking about, right? Because he was talking about Chip Kelly. And I 100% agree that I don't believe that Chip Kelly understands how to communicate and deal with young black players or people with power. I think he struggles with it. So, couple things that I gotta push back on from Deshaun. Number one, it was totally and completely ridiculous what they did and how they railroaded that guy and made him seem as if he was like something he's not. But number two, we're in a world of public perception, and you can't put yourself in those positions for people to question. Right? You have to own. Yeah, you might have friends. Does that make you a bad person? No. But if you get shot because you're with friends who are unsavory or who have other things going on, the only thing people are going to say is, man, he didn't deserve that. He wasn't like them, but you're still dead. So you got to be careful out there, right? Number two, he says he was a young kid. Come on. You were 27 years old. Now, the part that makes no sense to me is that they got rid of him off that while keeping a certain other, wide receiver, Riley, who had said some racist things out of his mouth. They kept him around for a little bit. They got Deshaun out of there immediately. What's even more telling about that is that he was coming off his best season ever. The 2013 season, that was his last season in Philly before he went to Washington. He played in 16 games, right? 16 games. He had 82 receptions on 126 targets. 1,332 yards, 16.2 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns. They were all career highs. Career high in targets, career high in receptions, career high in yards, career high in touchdowns. That is not the guy you cut. That is the guy that you figure out how to make it happen. You figure out a way to coexist. You figure out a way to get things done. You do not cut somebody that is giving you that level of production. And if you look at it, his career would never be the same after that. Number one, he went to Washington. That was like a kiss of death for anybody at that time. It has been to this day. We'll see. Right? He had a good season in Washington, but nothing great. Well, I shouldn't say that. He had a great season in Washington, 1,100 yards his first year. Then his second year got hurt, only played 9 games. Third season was healthy, cracked 1,000 yards again, but people felt like he was deteriorating. They got rid of him. He went to Tampa. I believe he chased some money. Not mad at him. 2 years in Tampa. Wide receiver 3 numbers, right? Wide receiver 3 numbers. Went back to Philly for 2 years essentially as a backup 4th wide receiver type. And then he finished out his last 2 seasons with the Raiders and the Raiders and the Rams, and then with Baltimore, and it was over for him. Right? So at 27, if he had stayed with Philly, who knows how much more he could have gotten out of his situation? Could he have had 4, 5, 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 7 straight 1,000-yard receivers? Remember, he had 774 yards in Tampa. That was at 32 years old. So could he have, from 2013 to 2018, had 6 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons if he had stayed in Philadelphia? Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely could have been. He has reason to be salty. Like, clearly Chip Kelly had issues. They talked about how he made Michael Vick cry, and that Vick said he cried more with them than he ever did in jail. I don't know if it's true. I didn't hear it from Vic. I'm hearing it from them. But that's telling. I'll say this, though, right? Chip Kelly may not be good and may not understand how to use how to talk to ultra talented black players. He really knows how to use them. And so guess what? He's in a perfect position because now he doesn't have to be anything more than an innovator and a play caller. There are certain people who just shouldn't be in leadership positions. Chip Kelly may just be one of those guys. It sucks that these guys had to go through it, right? But once you learn who you are, and maybe Chip Kelly has, the world can be better for it. Now, no other young black men with a little bit of power or with money and with influence and trying to figure this thing out. Maybe now none of them have to be subjected to him in a leadership role where he could affect their livelihood. We can only hope. We'll come back and put a bow on these things. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. We had winners yesterday. I'll be back to talk about it. This is Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens, Riptide Media Network, and the 102.9 The Game app. Make sure you download that. Always now is a great time to put out those, fillers. Make sure that you're following Football Game Plan at Football Game Plan. You are following the Football Game Plan Facebook page and YouTube channel at Football Game Plan. When we are finished here, Bleacher Brothers will be up next. Make sure that you are following the Bleacher Brothers on all the social media at Bleacher Brothers. Make sure that you are following the Bleacher Brothers YouTube channel, and make sure that you're following the Bleacher Brothers on Facebook. Also, make sure that you're following me. I am Coach Gene Clemens, as I said, at Gene Clemens on all social media, at Coach Gene Clemens. That's the YouTube channel if you want to put that in. Last night, ladies and gentlemen, I told you, I said, hey, anytime if you die with a bet that I gave you, that we died together. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tell you, we did not die last night. Absolutely not. I need to get like a little buzzer, like a ringer or something that, you know, when we cash on these bets, that we can come in, money, 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 money. You can tell what kind of shape my voice is in just based off of me trying to hit these notes. Money, 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 money. Right? That's what I'm talking about. So let's review. What did we do last night? Right? We said we like the 4-pick lineup. Josh Hart to go over his points, rebounds, and assists. He did. He had 41. His point rebound and assist total was at 34.5. This is on Prize Picks, by the way, if you're wondering where my bet was and where it will be today. Even though Prize Picks is not a sponsor, I hope they soon will be, right? Dante DiVincenzo going over his 17.5 points. He had 28 points. Jalen Brunson. I had Brunson going under 37.5 points. He had 29. I got lucky. We all got lucky because Brunson missed part of that game with injury. He came back in the second half and went crazy. He ended up with 29, could have easily had 38 plus points if he hadn't missed that time. Tyrese Halliburton, I had him with a bounce back game over his points, rebounds, and assists. He had 49 total points, rebounds, and assists. That is the 4-pick of the 4-pick du jour. It was a 10-1 payout on Prize Picks because it was a 4-pick locked in. Hey, listen. Right now, I'm sitting at, what am I sitting at? 1 for 3 with giving you guys these plays. Yep, I'm 1 for 3 giving you guys these plays. And we're back at it today. And I did something better. You know, I even went ahead and made the plays ahead of time so that you would know what it was I was actually, you know, looking to play, or at least I made, you know, somewhat the pace. So I'm going to go through what I like. I'm going to go through why I like it. I am somebody who likes to bet in segments. I really don't like betting all the way across like a night because I feel like sometimes I just don't want to, like, I'm impatient, and, you know, the night and the day, it might be just a different vibe, maybe a different time. So I like betting in segments. So I'm going to give you my picks and what I like for the Boston versus the Cleveland Cavaliers game tonight. All right. Let's start with the easy one. This is going to be easy until they stop putting his number at an easy number, in my opinion. Everybody knows Donovan Mitchell is out here trying to prove he is better than Jason Tatum and better than most anyone else. He's looking to cook. He's looking to put points in the board. 29.5 points, I will take more. He's going to keep 30 because that's the only way they have a chance of winning, right? He's got to get 30 or else they're going to have a hard time winning games. So that's my first pick. Donovan Mitchell continuing to cook After all, I mean, look at the guys who are trying to guard him. That's a bad matchup for them. Jason Tatum is at 42 points, rebounds, and assists. I'm going to tell you, I like the under. Jason Tatum has figured it out. He does not have, for them to be successful, he does not have to have 30-point, 40-point nights. So if he gets 25 points, 10 rebounds, right? 8 assists, 25 points or 23 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. That's all he needs. Right? 22 points. Right? And here's the best part of it. When he does that, they're winning by so much that he's not playing late into the game. So if he's not playing late into the game, what happens? It's not going to hit that points, rebounds, and assist total. So I like him 42 points under points, rebounds, and assists. I see his stat line today being something like 22, 9, and 9. Really great stat line. 22, 9, and 9. Or 25, 6, and 8. 25, 6, and 9. Like something of that nature, but it's not going to be 42 points. And that's all I'm really concerned with, right? Is he going to make those points? So, Jason Tatum under points, rebounds, and assists. Evan Mobley over rebounds. Why? It's simple. Number one, Boston doesn't have anybody to rim protect. They don't have anybody crashing the boards like that. Al Horford is old, so he spends most of his time outside trying to open up the floor. So he's not combating anyone else. Jason Tatum is their leading rebounder, and Evan Mobley is just going to pick up a whole bunch of really easy rebounds because nobody is out there to rebound. There's no Porzingis, and there's nobody to really pull him from the center. Right? If Porzingis is out there, Porzingis can pull him out the paint. No Porzingis, he can camp out in the paint. Hey, I'm going to take my chances with old man Al Horford out here shooting threes. So I like Evan Mobley more than 11 rebounds. Then I'm going to go right back to the Cleveland. I like Jared Allen, who's going to be most likely coming off the bench tonight. I like him to go under his 10 rebounds. You might be saying to yourself, both of them are in double digits? Yeah, both of them are in double digits. Why? Because those two are the big dudes on the field, on the court. They take up a lot of space, right? So I'm not surprised that both of them are at 10, but I just wonder how much is Jared Allen going to play? Jared Allen's coming off of he's coming off an injury. He's a game time decision, right? So at a game time decision, do they monitor his minutes? Do they limit how much they put him out there? I think they will. And if that's the case, I don't know if he's getting 10 rebounds. So I'm going to go under on Jared Allen. Right? So that's over on Mitchell, points 29.5. That's under on Jason Tatum's 42 points, rebounds, and assists. That's over on Evan Mobley with 11 rebounds. That's under Jared Allen, 10 rebounds. Right? I'm not done, though. I'm not done. Because when we win, we go in their pocket. We try to hit them for money, right? So I come over to rebounds, and I'm looking for it. And I didn't see him earlier, and I'm wondering what happened. There he is. I'm looking for Drew Holiday, right? Drew Holiday on the rebounds. I'll take Drew Holiday over 3.5 rebounds. right? I'll take Jrue Holiday over 3.5 rebounds. And then I'll finish it out with a guy who has been nuclear hot this series, Derek White. I'll take Derek White over 14.5 points. I'll take him over 14.5 points. Great payout. And I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the payout now because I took the low end on the Jrue Holiday and the Derek White. But you know what? I'm going to change that. Not only am I going to go, because again, we're on Prize Picks. I'm going demon time on Donovan Mitchell. So I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over 31.5 points. I'm taking him over 31.5 points. Demon time. And again, Derek White's been hot, but you never know. I'm going to take that 14 ease. I'm going to take that Jrue Holiday 3.5 easy rebounds. Evan Mobley over 11 rebounds. Jarrett Allen under 10. Donovan Mitchell, demon time, over 31.5 points. I'm tempted to take Evan Mobley over on demon time on the rebounds as well, but I'm not going to get super greedy. But we're going to lock it in right there since we are in their pocket looking at their money, right? We're in their pocket looking at their money. We're locking it in. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you play with me, just know that if you die, we died together, right? You and me. We didn't die last night. Cleveland and Boston tonight. I like Boston to win that game. I just don't think Cleveland has enough bullets. I told you they don't play good enough defense. Dallas and OKC, it'll be interesting to see what happens this game, right? Doncic didn't have his best game. That usually means a bounce back game for him. Whenever he doesn't play well, the next game he normally comes out and goes ham. So be looking for that. Gafford versus Holmgren inside on the boards. That's going to be a big play. Can Gilgeous-Alexander shoot as well today as he shot in last game? Because if he does, I just don't know if Dallas is able to beat them. They don't play good defense, right? They don't play like the greatest defense in the world. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Very intrigued. I'm probably going to put something in. If I hit something on this Cleveland-Boston, I'm definitely flipping it on the Dallas OKC. And I'll tell you just preliminary what I like. I like the Doncic play of their points, rebounds, and assists over. I think it's at 51.5 right now. I like Gilgeous-Alexander's points, rebounds, and assists that I think are at 51.5 as well. I'm going to look at those two real quick just so I'm not telling you something that's a lie. I mean, not 51.5. I think it's less than that. It's 41.5. Yeah. Doncic is at 50.5. Gilgeous-Alexander at 41.5. I really like those two plays because I think they have to be all world for their teams to win. Right? I think they have to be all world for their teams to win. So I like those two plays. And then whatever else you might like with it, I might just put it on those two and call it a day. But again, been enjoying the NBA. It's been fun to watch this year. It's going to be even more fun to start looking and seeing what these NFL teams are doing. We're getting so close to having football back outside of what we have with the Spring League. Shout out to the Spring League. But when we get to have all the football back, all of the college, all of the NFL, life is just better, right? Life is just better when there's football on all the time. And if you like to throw some dollars out there, right? Life can be really good if you've, doing a little thing over there. So make sure that you're having fun. Make sure you're doing that responsibly and all that jazz. That's going to do it for me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. Join us tomorrow Got a great show for you. Stay tuned. Up next is the Bleacher Brothers. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to be tuned in. Make sure that you're tuned in as well. This is Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Network.